Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, of course, since this weekend, there's been a lot of buzz around Terence Crawford potentially fighting Jaron Ennis. We put a poll up. This was, Sunday or so? And it was last time I looked at it, I think it was over 2,400 votes. But over 50% of the people wanted to see Jaron Ennis as the next opponent for Terence Crawford. Now, there's a lot of people that want to detract from Jaron Ennis. They want to say that he's not ready, that what has he done to get the opportunity, so forth and so on. And I would tell you that what is all of the other opponents from Terence Crawford? What did they do? I hear people talking about he needs to move up to 154 pounds and get a strap. He need to go up to 154 and get a strap. Yet those same fans lamented when Keith Thurman told Terence Crawford that he needed to come up and get a strap at 147 pounds. So how is it now that you're arguing for the same thing that you lamented just 12, 13, 14 months ago? Make it make sense. At the end of the day, Turkey Al-Sheikh said he'll put up the money. He's interested in seeing the fight. So there's no other excuses considering Terence Crawford said, hey, if you show him the money, then he'll make the fight. So clearly to me, there's so many of these fans that they were hiding behind the fact that Terence Crawford had nothing to gain. And they were talking monetarily. And now that that's clearly not the case, now they have other excuses about his resume, which sounds eerily similar. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about Breadman. He was recently on Mill City. Shout out to Mill City. And he talked a little bit about the performance of Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis. So, Jay, I do want to pull that up quickly so that we can react to that because I thought it was interesting, man, because, in reality, this is something that we talked about not only on the channel, but we also talked about this on the Discord, that people are quickly forgetting what happened with Terence Crawford versus David Avanesyan. And I'm just like, I don't understand how you guys are just forgetting this that fast. So I'm going to play this real quick and give these folks the opportunity to hear it. Hold on, let's start it from the beginning.
David Avanesyan, he goes 6 with Terence Crawford and goes 5 with Jaron Ennis. What's your thoughts? And then obviously we have to compare them. I know, but we have to because that's the measuring stick. So what you thought about the fight so far?
Boots did good. I mean, it wasn't his best performance, but he did good. I mean, Avanesyan's a tricky guy. He's world class. He's not as good as Boots or Bud, but he's the level below that. But he could give guys a lot of trouble. Remember what he did to the prospect, Josh Kelly? Boots did good. I give him a B on his performance. It was a solid performance.
Why did you give him a B?
I got hit a little bit. You know what I mean? Here's what's crazy. His fight and Bud fight with Avanesyan look similar. Like, I watched both of these fights side by side, and Avanesyan got like a little tricky right hand where he like square up and be in a little bit of a southpaw stance, and he could like hit you with his shot. And both of Boots and Bud is both killers, even though they fight a little bit different. Bud is a little older, so he's a little bit more calmer with his approach. I kind of compared one to the Jordan of the 90s and Bud, and Boots the Jordan of the 80s, where he's like showing his athleticism and stuff a little more, where in the 90s Jordan take you in the post, shoot his fadeaway, but they got the same result. But he was hitting both of them with that little sneaky little shot. He's a good little crafty fighter. He just don't have what they have. So I give him a B because I think that Boots really wants to impress the crowd, and I'm not mad at that because the crowd is the paying customer, and you have to give them something to want to come see, and it is entertainment. But I think he sacrifices his defense a little bit for the crowd. I've been in the gym with him. If he decides to use his jab and just play it safe, then guys won't touch him.
And that's the part that I wanted to get through. Jason, I could have sworn we talked a little bit about this on our podcast here this past week about the fact that Jaron Ennis, I felt, number one, he was a little bit rusty. But number two, when he feels like he doesn't have an opponent in front of him that can really do anything, then he's almost all offense. And so that was the reason why I think David Avanesyan got some shots in. But more importantly, those same shots landed against Terence Crawford. But for whatever reason, people seem to forget that. They seem to forget that, Jay. Those same punches landed. So let's dismiss this whole notion that Boots isn't ready because of this performance and that, and he was getting hit and blah, 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 blah. Make the fight happen because Turkey Al-Sheikh wants it. Jay, what's your thoughts on that?
No, that's very similar to that. Real quick though, about them saying that Boots need to get up, go to 154 and get a strap. Those same cats will say, well, he's trying to age Bud out, but they want him to get more experience. So I mean, it makes no sense. But no, the fights look very similar. I mean, people already said Boots is another version of Bud slightly. The way his style is because he switches, but he actually hits in the ring a lot more than Bud. Bud will typically stay in one stance more often than not. Boots will flip back and forth all day. But no, I agree with them. Like, I don't know why people are making it seem like Bud did something crazy to Avanesyan during that fight outside of the knockout. Don't get me wrong, that knockout was cold. But Boots was just beating the hell out of David Avanesyan. If they hadn't stopped the fight, I could see that same knockout happening for Boots the same way. Because he was beating the hell out of David Avanesyan. That's why the crowd stopped. I mean, it looked like he had busted his jaw, messed up his chest, his ribs, the whole nine. So, I mean, it was a beatdown regardless of the way, regardless if it wasn't a knockout, you still got your ass kicked. You know, I mean, I'm with Breadman on that, saying how methodical the fights were. I like his comparison of Jordan and early on the first three chips versus Jordan the last three chips. You know, early on, Jordan was out there trying to, use his athleticism. That's Boots. Later on, he started finessing it and just fade away. Results the same. It's a win. So I agree with Breadman in that regard. Yeah, I'm just tired of these fans acting like David Avanesyan, like Bud did something to David Avanesyan that Boots really didn't do completely. Outside of the knockout, I mean, he got his ass beat bad. It was bad. His jaw was swole. They stopped the fight. That's the only thing. That's the only difference. They stopped the fight versus him getting knocked out cold. So I'm in agreement with Breadman on that.
Yeah, David Avanesyan, I saw a video from him. It was interesting that he said that the doctor misdiagnosed his jaw being broken. Dude, I didn't see a whole lot of resistance from you or your team in terms of, hey, don't stop the fight. There was no resistance really from any of those guys.
And that jaw was super swollen too.
Yeah, so I don't want to hear that, bruh. You wanted that fight done with. You were happy that doctor was in there, man. Stop this, man. He's beating the brakes off me. But anyway, at the end of the day, I believe, a lot of people are saying that they believe that Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is the biggest fight that could be made in boxing. I think it's David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez, to be quite honest with you. But
I agree.
Crawford may be number 2, but the second biggest fight for Terence Crawford, obviously, is Jaron Ennis. So it is what it is. Miss me with all the title stuff too. We know that sanctioning bodies set up people for titles all the time that they don't really earn or deserve. So just because somebody has a title does not mean that that's the best fight. We want to see the best fight the best. According to a lot of you guys, according to you Terence Crawford fans, you want to see the best fight the best when you wanted him to fight Errol Spence. But now that he Jaron Ennis wants to fight him, now you just want he is the champion. He needs to be a champion. Anyway, you guys tell us what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and we are out.